Hey there, Laker fans. Welcome to another episode of Lakers Detailed. I'm your host, Vinay, with my co host, Raj. The All Star break has concluded, and all the players are going to be departing the Bay Area. A very interesting All Star break weekend. We had some last minute folks not play in the All Star game, rightfully so for injury related reasons. And then we had Mac McClung, G League former Laker G League great,
Yeah.
go for his third dunk contest championship in a row. Um, we had I don't know, a whole bunch of random intermissions today in between the game, which made absolutely no sense.
Yes.
And anyways, it was just a bunch of everything everywhere. Raj, it's been a while. It's been, I would say, about a week since
Yeah.
we've gotten a chat. You went out of town. You're back here. Um, we have a lot to talk about. We've got to talk about a little bit about Luka for sure. Not a lot of bit about Luka. We've got to talk about this Mark Williams thing that's now kind of in the rear view, but kind of
Yeah.
weird how this happened. We've got to talk about Alex Len, who made his debut for the Lakers, and was us picked the absolute worst game to do it at the
Terrible.
same time.
Yeah.
But before we get into all that sort of stuff, we'll start off talking about the All Star game, just share some thoughts about it. But before we even do that, Raj, we got to get the small talk out of the way. How are you doing, my
Yes.
friend? How are you doing?
Oh man, I am doing well. I had the worst week to go out of town too. I feel like Lakers traded for Luka Doncic, and then I had to go out of town during his debut. But Vinay, it was fun to be a fan, right? Just
Yeah,
during that, I was sitting next to some other Laker fans, and I was just like, they were just kind of in this. Can you believe this? Can you believe? It was just
yeah,
cool to kind of be a fan during that moment. But no, glad to be back. Yeah, that was an absolute shit show of a All-Star break.
yeah.
But I'm good, man. The stretch run is coming. We have 30 games left. People feel like the All-Star break's the halfway when it's really not. It's a lot more than that. Obviously, LeBron sat out as well, which kind of shows where his mind's at. But I'm good, man. I'm ready for this stretch run of like the final 30 games of what hopefully is a contender. I'll just say this really quickly, Renee. I feel vindicated. A G League team a G League team won yesterday. You know, after everyone's like, why are there G League players playing next to the Rising Stars?
Yeah,
G League players run. Shout out Leonard Miller from the Minnesota Timberwolves, who
yeah.
I've seen play. But yeah, I'm doing well, man. How are you holding up?
I'm doing good. Just the Luca experience continues to be very fun, very interesting to watch. There's certainly like a whole integration part with his conditioning and whatnot that has to get to a point where it is. So I'm looking forward to that. I mean, we're not surprised that Alex Len ended up becoming a Laker. We needed a 7 footer. We got a 7 footer. Probably not the one that's ideal for us, but the Lakers can still get other guys too as well. So just I'm preparing myself like when the Lakers take a break or when the All Star break comes around, I try to take a break myself and like
Right, right,
unload
right.
my mind and not think about
Decompressed.
basketball. I would be uh, I would be lying if I didn't say like I tried to avoid the All Star weekend altogether. Like
Mm,
I didn't tune in until the final round of the 3 point round. Um, I really didn't watch the slam dunk contest because I was like, bro, I
okay.
don't know what's gonna happen. I don't want to be disappointed. The
Yeah,
skills challenge, I did not watch at all.
I didn't see a
But I
single
did
minute.
but I did tune in to the skills challenge when I found out that Chris Paul got disqualified for trying to work around the rules. So I wanted to
Yeah,
tune in just so I could enjoy his failures. But outside of that, I watched some of the All Star game today, and I had some thoughts that I tweeted out. Well, one tweet that I tweeted out, and a lot of people had very strong opinions about my tweet. And it was about Draymond's comment,
mm,
and it was just like Draymond was doing this thing where he was like, I understand he didn't like the format of the All Star game, which is totally fine. I don't think I disagreed with anybody if you don't like the All Star game format. My only thing is like he took it like a step further where he's just like, these players don't even deserve to be on the same floor. And then I was just like, okay, like now you're just insulting a bunch of guys who are just happy to
yeah,
be there. You know what I mean? It's just like, why would you like they're rising star guys, meaning like they played in a game on Friday night.
yeah.
And then uh for him to say that, I was just like, bro, get this guy off of TV. Like, why do you have him up here talking about young guys? Like Stephon Castle's
Yeah.
a good player. Dalton connects the Lakers, so we talk about him all the time. So I had some issue with that, not with the format issue. I thought that's a fair complaint. I was just like, but why do you have to take it a step further and start talking badly about these young guys, which I don't think is necessary at all. Oh, and one last thing, one other highlight. AP Dillon was in the celebrity game. Thank you to him if he ends up watching this, or anybody who's a fan of his, because anybody who knows me, I've been begging the NBA to stop bringing like these Indian brown celebrities that can't play basketball and like put a guy who's gonna take it seriously up
Right,
there.
actually hoops.
Yes, we need a good representative from the Brown delegation, and he had a chance to like. I thought it was really nice. Like he took the game seriously. He scored like 8 points in the first quarter, first half, and then he was like on the mic. He like cussed out loud on national television, which was funny. But he was just like, he joked self-deprecatingly. He was just like, "Oh, you guys probably saw me and were like, does this guy even know how to dribble the basketball?" And like he made a joke about himself. And I thought it was really cool that he did that because representation matters. And I thought he did a good job. Tell me about. You had some thoughts about this All-Star game.
Man,
Draymond's chit chat.
Today. Right. Well. First off, the celebrity game I think just shows how out of touch I am, because the only celebrities I think I recognize were Drewski and Kai Cenat. I think were the only ones, and obviously the NBA players like Rickea Jackson and Baron Davis, who does not look like he's hooped in a very long time and just was woken out of bed and told go run, in this ball game. I really didn't focus on that. Here's my thing, but like I can't blame Draymond when he also sits next to Charles Barkley. You know what I mean? Like that. So like I understand he obviously took it to an extreme. What I don't get is the NBA doesn't have full control, I guess, of what TNT does. But shout out the guy who won $100,000 at halftime for hitting.
Oh, that was awesome. That was super.
Man,
awesome.
that almost turned very dark, because if that kid lost while Damian Lillard hits a game-winning, just picture this image, Vinay, of Damian Lillard hitting the three, his teammate Steph doing the Dame time, like in front of this kid,
rooting against the kid.
Rooting against the kid. If Dame hits that three and all the NBA players celebrating, obviously it goes to charity, but this kid standing there who just lost, what is generational wealth to him, would have been really dark. And then Kevin Hart, like you bring in like a comedian, I can't blame the comedian, right? Like I can't blame Kevin Hart for being Kevin Hart. What I can blame is the NBA thinking they needed Kevin Hart doing live commentary on the game
and jokes,
live jokes. And it accomplished nothing, which what I think the All-Star Weekend is supposed to be, which is I don't think it's supposed to compete with the Super Bowl, Vinay. And I want to get into Luka, so I don't want to go too long on this, but Wemby is freaking phenomenal and cares about the right shit and like played hard. He had a play today where he blocked Steph, then it hit a three on the other end. And this was the commentary during that moment, Vinay. Kenny Smith goes, I have a serious question to ask all of you. And I was like, oh, like what he's gonna ask. And this again, Wemby is just like going crazy. He goes, what makes Steph underrated? I'm like, what? Like what are we doing? So yeah, I just I thought it was like, again, LeBron didn't play. You had a chance to market one of your future stars. Obviously, Luka's not playing. And then 11-1 to stop and TNT basically giving a tribute to themselves. Like it's just
that was also they did it like right in between, like in the middle of the championship game, which I thought was super bizarre. That didn't make any sense either. Can I just say something, Raj? Because you mentioned the kid shooting. I thought it was cool that the kid got an opportunity to do it. But I was watching, so I was doing dishes while I was watching that, right? So I had my like phone propped up on the counter, and I was doing dishes on it, and my wife came over to watch it with me, like Mr. Beast kept going up and like putting his hand on the guy, like as he was like kind of like dribbling the ball to get himself into rhythm, like how you kind of get yourself in rhythm, take a shot. And like the first shot attempt he took, like Mr. Beast started like yelling, like right as he's like mid-release. Okay. I was sitting there and I turned and looked at my wife. I was like, dude, if he was doing this shit when I was trying to win $100,000, I would tell him that I'd like turn around, look at him, and be like, dude, shut the fuck up, dude. Like, what are you doing? I'm already competing against a fucking NBA player, like one of the best shooters in the league, and you're out here, you're like yelling as I'm shooting. And then on top of that, as I'm trying to warm up, you're like putting your hands on my back and on my shoulders and stuff. Like it's just. I think Damian Lillard realized it Damian Lillard realized it, and like he got in between Mr. Beast and that kid. Like he stood in
Okay,
between
let
them
him
because
warm
he was
up.
like, yeah, because he was messing him up. And so I was happy that the kid make it, but like in that moment, this is like a very Larry David Seinfeldian sort of complaint that
Mm.
I have. I was just like, if that was me, I'd be like, bro, stop touching me. I'm trying to make $100,000 shot. Like, don't
Yeah,
put your hands on me, bro. Like, I thought that
right.
was funny.
Yeah,
Good for that kid,
yeah.
though, dude.
No, good for him. I thought also lastly it put Dame in an impossible spot, right? It's like
Yeah.
Dame's he hit two, and I'm not saying he. Okay, maybe I am saying he like kind of he didn't focus too strongly on the last shot there at the end. I thought he was more than okay with missing and letting the kid get a couple attempts up at the rim. So shout out the kid, got $100,000. Hopefully he gets all of that. I don't know how that works. I don't know how game show money works and how taxes work on it or anything like that. But in terms of the gifts of $100,000, but shout out to him. And yeah, TNT is done with the All-Star weekend, Vinay. We are moving towards NBC. Hopefully they've seen the reaction and they see how the fans feel and they kind of move it towards a different direction. Shout out to them. They've given a lot of entertainment over the years. So, I'm not discrediting them, but I think the game has kind of moved on from, what they need. But Vinay, it's been a while. It's been a long while. I want to start here because I just shout out to everyone who watched the reaction video because we haven't really got to spoke on that. The reaction video went a little viral in terms of when we found out about Luka Doncic. When me and Vinay were live, kind of watching it. And that's kind of a lot of people have messaged me and said they really enjoyed,
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
shocked we look, and I thought, that was really cool. But I want to start here. Has it settled in for you, Vinay? Like yet? Like it's been 2 games, Utah games, whatever. I don't think most people have kind of sat with that Utah game too long,
Yeah.
which understandably, but the first game was so dramatic and posted up. Where are you at now? Where's your head out now with Luka Doncic being a Laker?
Yeah, I think it has set in, but
Mhm.
the main thing that hasn't set in is like we're not getting like the full uh maybe we're not getting like the full spectrum. Like we're not getting like the full, obviously he's ramping his way up to
Mhm,
to
mhm.
being 100%. Um and I just think that like him settling in is going to look so different. Like the team, I feel like is going to look like, not in terms of like how much he's going to dominate the ball, but in terms of like just kind of how he's going to ingratiate himself with the team and how much he's going to help the other guys. Like Jackson Hayes, I know he got hurt, but like Jackson Hayes is look like a phenomenal center, like offensive center at least,
Yeah.
next to him and LeBron. And so like once Luka starts reaching sort of his peak form, whatever that ends up looking like this year, I think it's just going to be really really cool to see. Um, but we haven't really gotten the full like compliment of him just yet. Like you could tell he's still kind of working his way back to
Sure.
normal, even average shape.
Yeah, right. No, for sure. He's still not the 35, 38 minute a game. I still like, so there's some stats that come out, right? Recently I think Cade had I forgot what the number was, Vinay, but it was something like 1,200 points, and he's one of the few players in the last few years that done that. And it's like Cade, I think it's like Giannis, and it's like Luka on that list, and it still kind of has to like settle in. Like that's a guy that's here, bro. He averaged 34 a game last year. Like led the league in scoring. I think it was like 34, 8, and 8. You mentioned Jackson Hayes. I think it's fascinating. If you go rewatch that Utah game, Vinay, Jackson Hayes has a smile larger than life on like the first 2 plays of the game. There's a LeBron drive and lob to Jackson Hayes where he gets a dunk. And then there's a second, Luka drive. Luka's first assist of the game is to Jackson Hayes. It's just, I'm excited to kind of see what the team is moving forward, but I just kind of wanted to sit with that with you in terms of Luka's a freaking Laker, man. We haven't really discussed the part of that. We did like a car pod where you were in the car talking about Mark Williams. I think that's the last thing we spoke about, where you were super excited about him. But yeah, I've been out of town as well, so I haven't been able to like really settle in and kind of get into like the deeper basketball stuff. But just your first, I guess, impressions. We got 2 games of it. We got a home game where it looked incredible. I don't know if you've gone back and rewatched the Utah game, Vinay. I got to watch it with no emotion because I was driving home during
Yeah.
it. that first quarter, I thought Luka was sensational. Like his
Yeah,
passing was incredible. He still obviously got some baby fat on him, or 26-year-old
that's a good way
fat
to
on
put
him,
it. Yeah,
or 26-year-old fat on him. That he's gonna try to pump out, but the passing to me has stuck out. The shooting's still not, I'm sure, where he wants it to be. I think the drives are gonna continue to increase, but just first impressions, I guess you have 2 games, you have about 35 minutes of gameplay so far
yeah,
of Luka Doncic. What have you kind of taken note of?
yeah. I think obviously his passing is like, even with him being a little fat, like his passing
Right.
is still like crazy. The first game that he played, he was drawing like a second defender, a third defender when he was dribbling in the paint, and he was like whipping the ball around to find like Rui Hachimura in the corners, or find just find teammates for alley oops. He had a nice play on I think a left-handed drive where he kind of got the center. I forget whoever the defender was. He got the defender jumping, and he kind of did the little low dribble pickup
Hmm.
and drew a foul. So it's like the little sneaky Luka stuff, the crafty stuff that makes him super difficult to guard. We've already seen that to some degree, like a lesser degree. And I'm just looking forward to seeing like how we get the full complement, because I would argue he's probably not been attacking to score. He's sort of been attacking to just kind of pick some spots for himself, but really try to be a team player. And I think there's going to come a point where JJ seems like a guy. Um, JJ seems like the kind of coach where he's going to go to Luka. He's going to be like, okay, we don't need you to do this shit anymore. We need you
Right,
to
right,
go be
right.
Luka Doncic, and the rest of the guys will fit in around you. And I think that's going to be, um, I think that's going to be like the thing that uh, really gets him going. I think right now, I've seen some people say that he's playing tentatively because like Braun is the star on the team. Um,
Sure.
so I think that's really like what I'm waiting to see. Like I'm waiting to see when his conditioning gets to a better level, what he's gonna look like. But so far, dude, all the intuition, like all the instinctive stuff, when to pass, when to throw the pass, where guys are open, that sort of stuff, that's already looking pretty great right now, dude.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is a guy that, again, it's just, I still like sometimes wake up and go, are we sure? You know what I mean? And like, are we sure this is what happened? But like that dude was a star on day one. That dude was a star walking into the league. And so like like he looked shy, Vinay, on like the press conference, but it was funny watching him kind of come in and like right away, his third play, complain to the ref. So like he was like super comfortable right when he got onto the court. But no, like I'm with you. I think the passing reads have been there. I still kind of have to get used to Vinay a step back three just being a quality, like high percentage shot. You know what I mean? Like LeBron also takes the step, he takes like a side step three, but Luka takes the step back variety, hits it at like 40+% or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I kind of have to get used to that being just a positive shot. Yeah, shout out, Ramel. Can't believe it's ready in 2 weeks. I still remember this. That was absolutely shocking. I went back to the question reading and going into whatever about the Knicks game, which feels like 3 years ago. And Luka's kind of, it's been accepted a little bit more. I do feel bad for Mavs fans, and a lot of them are I'm friends with a few of them that kind of are media members within that, and I do think that part is the tough part for them. But no, I'm with you. I have don't have too much to say because I think it's been 2 games, but Luka
Yeah.
Doncic looks like Luka Doncic,
Yeah.
and I'm still in disbelief. It opens up so many other avenues. I don't know where you want to pivot to next, Vinay, but I kind of wanted
Yeah.
to kind of push this towards another thing happened when I was in Las Vegas
Yeah.
that I want to connect these 2 dots.
Yeah.
Austin Reeves dropped 45.
Yeah. Yeah. He did.
Within the week. Austin Reeves dropped 45. Obviously, Luka didn't play that game.
Yes, he did.
This was the game before his debut. LeBron James also sat
Did not
out.
play that game. Yep.
Yeah, and so Austin Reeves versus the Indiana Pacers Indiana Pacers, not Papers. Puts up 45, I think 7-7, whatever it is, and absolutely torches them. And I'm watching that, Vinay, and I'm watching Rui Hachimura get open looks. He's a guy that a lot of people don't like, but I think has kind of elevated himself into a player that you give Rui open threes, it looks like that goes in. But just, I guess, Luka's impact on the role. I don't really like throw Austin in the role guys, but I guess Luka's
Yeah.
impact on the other guys. We can get to LeBron later. that part to me has been loud. Like
Yeah.
Austin be able to attack, the third worst defender. It's not really how basketball works technically because there's a lot of switching and off ball stuff that goes on. But yeah, Austin dropped 45. Ruiz, I think, been over 15 or 18 points for the last, he's playing the best basketball of his career. Doesn't look like he's going to the bench anytime soon. Just, thoughts on all those, I guess, those guys. You can kind of focus on Austin, I guess, because he just dropped 45. That's a hell of a three-headed monster to be able to like put out, against teams and against switches. And I know you were having fun with them attacking Walker Kessler.
Oh yeah, that was
times
that was good, dude.
on Monday. But
yeah,
yeah.
So let's talk about the Indiana game before Luka plays, because Indiana was a game I think a lot of people had thought that without LeBron, without Luka, the Lakers are going to lose that game. Like they're not going to have a chance of winning that game because they're just too shorthanded with the players that they have. And Austin has an amazing game. A lot of guys step up. Gabe steps up. All right, did Gabe play that game? I think Gabe played
the Indiana one, yes, he did.
Gabe played that game. Rui played that game. They all have a really, really great game. So I thought that was pretty awesome. Austin putting up 45. I was like, so I'll tell you what was going on at the time. I had taken I took the girls. I took them to a skate rink, like a roller skating rink.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was just like, it was like we went out like 12 o'clock or something like that. And my wife was like, "Oh, aren't you gonna watch the game?" And I was just like, "No, they're playing the Pacers. They're probably gonna lose. LeBron's not playing. Luka's not playing. Pacers have been on sort of a hot streak. They're a pretty good team." And then I'm like midway through the game, and I'm like, it's like 1:30. I'm like, you know what? Let me just check in on this game, see what's going on. Like while I'm taking a break from taking the girls on a couple of rounds, and the Lakers are up, and I was just like,
yeah,
well, what? So like, but at that point, my day is like completely distracted. I'm like, dude, now I have to watch this game. I'm watching Austin carve up that defense. Lakers play great defense. I'm watching Austin carve them up. Indiana makes a run later. I get back home so I can watch the second half. Indiana makes a run. Lakers hold them off, extend the lead, that sort of thing. That was really awesome. But Austin now, we've always known. You and I have always said from the start, Austin is way better than people realize. Even when Austin was coming off the bench during the Russ years, I was just like, I used to tell you guys in the group chat, I was just like, hey, you should play Austin next to Russ and don't have him sub in for Russ because they both complement each other because Austin can score in so many different ways and Russ is just a force attacking the rim. But, obviously this is all water under the bridge, so it doesn't matter. But we knew that Austin was good. We knew he was probably one of the best guards on the Lakers team because of his ability to score and his playmaking ability. And like, you compound that now, Raj, with the fact that it's not that he gets to pick his matchups, but that if you watch that Utah game, Luka's debut game, like they were hunting with all three guys. Like LeBron was hunting who he wanted. Then Luka was hunting the same guy. It was Walker Kessler. And then Austin was hunting Walker Kessler. And the fact that all three of them were able to all pick on, like, hey, we're just going to run pick and roll until this guy gets switched onto us. Mm-hmm. And any three of us, we have full confidence that you can probably score on this dude to a high, or create a play that leads to a very high quality shot. Like, you're getting that out of your third guy now, a guy who for a while had been thrust into the third best scorer, second best scorer, first best scorer, and now he gets to eat off of what Luka and LeBron do. Like, bro, like I don't think people understand. If he gets him, he's gonna have a game, Raj, where he's going to get a matchup that people think that he has no business being in. Like, oh, Austin can't guard this guy, or this guy, Austin can't score on this guy. And he's going to light up whoever that player is. And people, like, I can tell you the national media conversations are going to change. And they're all going to be like, no, hold on. Like, this guy, Austin Reaves, might actually be a pretty good player. And we're right there. I think we're about to get to that point.
Yeah, my least favorite comment, we don't have to get into the specifics, but like my least favorite commentary on the trade has been, well, now you got to move Austin Reaves, right? You got too much ball handling, or put Austin Reaves to the bench. And I don't know if this will like heighten Austin's kind of views or put him down just because of the people around him. But I'm with you. I was watching the Indiana game. They were trapping him like past half court, sending two at him. He was the main guy on the scouting report, right? No Luka, no LeBron, obviously no AD because the trade has gone through. It's him and Gabe Vincent. And Austin still puts up 45 and also making every single read and pass and ability, like his ability to kind of improve as a passer, I think has just taken him to a different level as a scorer. He has every bounce pass now. He has a skip pass in his
Yeah.
game. I was thinking about this the other day, Vinay. Austin's gotten a chance to obviously practice next to, Russ, next to LeBron. Now, like, he gets 26-year-old Luka Doncic like coming in to practice with every day. And I'm not saying that Luka has tricks that LeBron doesn't have, but I'm
Yeah.
saying, they're a different, they do it differently. And there's
Yeah.
stuff you can pick up from a guy that does want the ball for 40% of possession of every, possession you have. And it's just a level of expertise that I don't think can be bought or can
Yeah.
be, shown in terms of can't be quantified in terms of how you get better. Austin's going to eat, and I just can't wait to kind of watch how that offensive fit is. And lastly, just you were talking about the switching. I think the Lakers are going to be an impossible team to switch against,
Yeah.
which is funny because I think Luka's the best pick and roll ball handler in the league. Like if you run a straight drop coverage against him, he's going to destroy.
He's going to torch you.
He's going to torch your defense. It's just so interesting to kind of watch where the offense goes. So we've waxed poetic, Vinay, on the offense. I think you believe the offense is going to be good.
Yeah.
We watched a Utah game where DFS and Gabe Vincent sit out, and
Yes.
obviously, in my opinion, they treated that as a preseason game. So I won't go
I
too
would
serious.
say it was the game before the All-Star break. I feel like
Yeah,
everybody was mentally checked out of that game. I mean,
yeah,
there were other there were other games that day that happened where like the team
yeah.
that you expected to win the game ended up losing to whatever the other team was. So it was a very bizarre day.
Yeah, Town Defense is the best part about insane offense that we've been copping on defense. That's the part that I kind of want to
Mhm.
focus on. But I try to bring this
Yeah.
up in our chat,
Yeah.
but it's kind of hard with the characters the amount of characters you can type out. I didn't want to write like a whole paragraph.
Yeah.
But I'm just like I'm not blaming the defense, improving on Anthony Davis going out the door. That's psychotic. That's insane.
Hmm.
Do you think our defense changed though? It shifted from a funneling
Hmm.
defense, right? Funnel everything to Anthony Davis to a very aggressive, speed, chaotic. Some of this is with Vando returning, but I think this is also with DFS. I also think Jackson Hayes as well is not a drop coverage, but he's at the level of the screen big. He's an
Yes.
athletic. He makes mistakes, obviously. But it's strange. His rim protection numbers, Vinay, have shot through the roof in like these last 20 games. He's been
Yeah.
really good on that end. But yeah, defense, I think is top, whatever it is. I think we've had the number 1 or number 2 defense during like a stretch, if I have that correct.
There was, I think over the past like probably 12 games or
Yeah,
whenever Kurt Goldsberry puts that graphic out, we've been like a top 5 defense, top 4
y-
defense. And that includes
right.
like the Boston game, the Knicks game, the Clippers game. So it's a good sample size.
Exactly. How real to you is that defense? Is that something that the Lakers can continue with? It's very clear. I said this even when we got Alex Len, and we can touch on him at the end here.
Yeah.
I guess I think Alex Len is better than he's shown. I don't think it's so much better, but
Yeah.
we'll see. But still, I think they're going to be a small ball team, Renee.
Yeah. So let's talk about the first thing, because I think that's a really
Yeah.
important thing that you're talking about.
Right.
The very first thing about how the defense has sort of changed a little bit to some
Mhm.
degree. Like, so I do 100% agree with you. I think the Lakers have gone from being a team that funneled everything to Anthony Davis, and just kind of once they handed a player off to Anthony Davis in the below the 3-point line, they were like, go fix all of this for us.
Right. Yeah.
And I think it led to, especially seeing the effort post Anthony Davis trade, I think it led to a level of complacency within the players on the roster. I think players were playing like, hey, we can just send these guys to Anthony Davis and he'll take care of it. And I feel like the switch that's been flipped since Anthony Davis has been traded, even without Luka being there, is now everybody on the team. There's nobody else. There's no safety blanket anymore. Like, the Lakers have gone from a team that sends their guys to Anthony Davis to a team where everybody has to swarm on defense. And that's like the way that I describe our defense now. Like, we are a very swarmy defense. We are a rotation defense. Gabe will rotate, Rui will rotate,
Yeah.
Vando rotates, DFS does. Braun is rotating now again on defense too as well. But I feel like we swarm and we like collapse fast, we expand fast. Like the
Mhm.
speed, like we've talked about the speed of the Lakers offense. I think a lot of people have how the Lakers are now playing faster, because Anthony Davis isn't there. But the defense has gotten faster to me too as well. Like, we're getting to the ball faster. And I think one thing that I like to always that I've heard other folks mention that I want to bring up is like there's a stat I think with with the OKC Thunder where they don't have a ton of like block shots. I think it is, and then don't quote me if you're an OKC fan. I haven't checked the numbers on this, so I don't know how to explain it. But like OKC can get away. Like some of their best lineups are like with Jalen Williams at the 5. Like they'll play some super undersized player at the 5. There was a stretch where I think they lost Chet Holmgren and Isaiah Hartenstein. They're playing like Dort or Jalen Williams at the 5. And the reason why they can get away with doing that is because they have guys who can stay in front of the guys that they're assigned to, like the defensive guys stay in front of who they're assigned to, but they all gang rebound so well together defensively. And if they can't stop you, instead of stopping you at the rim, they try to stop you on the way to the rim. And I feel like the Lakers have gone from a team that's trying to force you to take shots over a 7-footer to a team now that like, no, you got like, we're not going to make it easy for you to get that driving lane to the rim.
Yeah.
And if you happen to do that, oh, here's Jackson Hayes ready to try and block one of your shots. And that's all. You combine that with the fact that they're now rebounding way better too, Raj. Like that, you
Rui,
lost Anthony Davis, and it seems like your rebounding's gotten better. Like you have multiple guys doing it. Yeah. So it's just something happened with that trade. Maybe it was like a wake up call to everybody on the roster. Like if Anthony Davis could get traded, you could get traded too.
Yeah.
So now everybody's trying.
Right. That's a crazy part to me. And like the numbers don't match my reality, right? Vinay, it's kind of like you lose
like what you think would have happened. Yeah.
Right. Like you lose a defensive player of the year candidate, which we all believe AD is, and your defense improves. I think that's a J. It says switch heavy defense. It's definitely switch heavy. And it's funny because I think early in the year we were complaining, like, why are we switching so much? And kind of made sense, right? It's like you can't have the other team get to like decide. It's funny because the Cam Reddish, just a side note, had some, I guess,
I saw that video,
isolation scoring that came out, and like the first 2 clips are on D'Angelo Russell. It's like, but again, not just that. Like if you go to I just go to a G League, practice, you'll see players hitting sidestep jump shots with one-on-one defense. It's just these players are in the 1% of the 1% of defense. But yeah, early in the year we were kind of we're complaining about the kind of the switch heavy defense, but I think like the personnel now fits it, and I think Gabe Vincent getting healthy, Vinay,
big difference,
right? Not just the jump shooting, like his defense has been phenomenal, and the insertion of Jared, like we basically added, in my opinion, 2 players that are defensive minded. I put Vando into this because he just got healthy, right? We added Vando and we added DFS. And then I think we got a healthy Gabe Vincent, wherever you kind of want to place that. That's 3 guys in your 8-man rotation now, in my opinion, that really get after it. Like they don't give up easy looks. They don't give up on plays. They get back in transition. I know it's crazy to say, but I think like Gabe and DFS were severely missed against Utah. Like I think like those guys didn't play. I thought it was a huge kind of miss to our rotation. I just keep going back into that Clipper game where Ty Lue had to pull Zoo. This is no AD. This is after the Luka trade. Luka obviously is not playing. Ty Lue had a matchup with us. We were going with LeBron at center, and Ty Lue said, I can't play Zubac, so I got to go with I forgot who they play as their small ball 5. It wasn't PJ Tucker. Don't remember who they went to, but like he had a kind of matchup with us. Same thing I think was with the Warriors a couple games later. Who I think we didn't have Draymond in that game, but or maybe he did. Don't remember if he played, but yeah, I think that part's interesting to me, Vinay, is that like the defense has shifted. I'm still in like wait and see of how consistent this is in terms of if the small ball is and there's some side, there's some things, some impacts of where like if you play a Walker Kessler, if you play, a Markkanen, like those are guys that can kind of take advantage. But LeBron as a small ball center with, less offensive duties. You mentioned the rebounding. I think Rui has been fantastic, kind of crashing down now and rebounding, hitting his open shots. I found that interesting. Is that something to you that's consistent, that you trust, I guess, this small ball, defense as something we can kind of consistently count on?
Yeah. So I whether we can count on it or not, I think it just remains to be seen. We're gonna have a bunch of games against really competitive teams, so we're gonna find out how well it works. But I mean, they're gonna play it. Like it sounds like JJ's not, even though we have Alex Len, it sounds like there's gonna be some lineups at some point in games where like Rui's gonna play the 5 or
Mhm.
Vando is gonna play the 5 because he's trying to keep like some baseline level of like rebounding and hustle and defense and that sort of thing on the floor. So I think we're gonna find out. I think that's probably one of the questions that's gonna like the defense is if the defense is real, that's gonna be a question that's really gonna be answered in these next 30 games. Like I don't think you and I are concerned about the Lakers offense with Luka and LeBron. Like we're like they're gonna be fine. But the real question is with no Anthony Davis and now teams
Yeah.
know you don't have them. They've had some more time to scout you a little bit. Second half of the season. Now some teams are in like playoff mode. Like, all right, we might see these guys down the road in the first round. Should we try
Yeah.
to, do we want to try? I think that's what we're going to. I'm waiting for a team to size down against us and then beat us while sizing down because,
Yeah.
like, the one thing that I thought was very interesting is outside. Let's just throw the last Utah game out the window. We say there's nothing to learn from that. The Lakers, JJ is now with Luka and LeBron is now able to dictate the rotation that the other team has to use, right? So when you have Luka and LeBron and Austin on the floor and you have Jackson Hayes, okay, well, you got a non-shooter on the floor. But now if you swap out Jackson Hayes for Vando and DFS, like Rui, now this is a very different team because Vando gets up and down the floor in a way that's very different. Vando can pass his teammates in a way. DFS can switch to as well. DFS can hurt you from the 3-2 as well. It's a very, very different type, but those guys are also they're great defenders. So they can take on the challenge of those mismatches and force you to play a certain way. So I'm very curious. Like when we play OKC, I'm going to be very curious to see how OKC plays us because if we get Hartenstein off the floor or we force Holmgren off the floor just because we're more effective at doing what we're doing, well, that tells me, okay, like the Lakers now are the ones who dictate how these games are going to go. So I'm very, very, very curious to see. But small ball seems like it's here to stay for sure.
It's funny because like me and you were kind of fighting the good fight of Anthony Davis. No, we'd fight the fight of Anthony Davis wants to run post ups. Like it's just that's what he wants to do. And every coach would come in and go, you know what? We're gonna play high pick and roll where AD is at the top of the key. And he's the facilitator. And there was some of that as well. But every single time possession would go down and it's like AD backing himself up. Everyone's like, man, why is he in the post? And so, I'm not blaming AD for this because I think you posted the numbers that he was efficient at it. And it was an efficient play for him. He scored efficiently, but it's just funny watching the team now, Vinay. Like when we go to DFS and Rui at center, like the spacing and the ball movement is just stupid. Like it's just against Utah, there were like plays where I think Austin had the ball at the top, and it's like LeBron and I think it was like Luka back screen for LeBron. It was just ridiculous. And you see like John Collins' face going like, who do I help off of here? It's just, that small ball look. I think that's the other side of it, right? Yeah. The reason you go small is kind of where you're getting an advantage elsewhere, right? Nobody downsized for a reason. If you'd like, you'd want everyone to be Wembanyama out there, right? But you downsize so you get addition of speed and you get addition of hopefully shooting in most cases. Obviously, Vanderbilt is kind of the exception in this, but when you downsize to Rui, LeBron, or DFS at center, that opens the other side of the court where it's just a complete, spacing and ball movement. And we both play pickup, and there's some pickup where no one moves the ball, and then there's some pickup where everybody moves the ball correctly. And Rui has this face that of a guy who just understands like, oh, I'm getting the ball every time. Like every single time I'm getting the ball in a place where I get to just shoot it and like get layups basically for him, which is that like I don't know if he hits it at that percentage, but like the free throw line, mid-range jumper. Just kind of incredible to watch him and Jackson Hayes both just understand the opportunity they have. But Vinay, one guy who didn't understand the opportunity he had, Alex Len, his debut was not as fun, as great.
Actually, Roger, I want to say one thing before we move on to Alex Len, because I thought you brought up a really good point. I just want to say this. When we say that the Lakers are playing small ball, it's I think the word small ball is not exactly what's happening with the Lakers. Like, so when we say small ball, we're still talking about the Lakers playing like 2 6'9" guys at the 4 and 5, like a 6'9" guy, 6'10" guy. or 6'9" guys or 6'8" guys with really long wingspans. So we're not talking what we lose in height. You always make up for in other ways. You make up in motor, you make up in speed, you make up in timing, getting to the
Hmm.
rebound faster, pushing the ball up the floor faster, getting to loose balls faster too. That's an advantage you get over traditional big guys. So I think when we say small ball, it should always come with the context that the difference in small ball that we're talking about is like 2 inches. It's not like you're
Right.
going like when Draymond is on the floor, like Draymond's like 6'7", 6'8". Like he's
Hmm.
not. Like, he has great wingspan too. He has great measurables. He's a shorter guy compared to Kevon Looney, who's like 7 foot flat or 7'1" or something like that. There's a reasonable difference, but like the talent drop off defensively, like when you go from like Jackson to Vando, is not as significant. So our small ball doesn't hurt us as much as it might
Right.
another team.
Yeah, yeah, and you mentioned Jackson. I think Jackson's kind of being played as a small. Even when he plays center, he's kind of masquerading as a four, or
Yeah,
like he's
yeah,
masquerading as a wing, right? Basically, they throw him in the corner. Again, his face just lights up. Vinay, you should watch it. Like he did not screen like this or whoever other players were on the team, but you watch him go screen for Luka. I guess that the strangest thing is them two, I guess, had a previous relationship. It's so funny around how many players in the league have relationships with each other that you would never know. But I guess Luka and Jackson Hayes was kind
yeah,
of this Luka. Well, it makes sense, right? Guy who can jump out the gym with a Luka who loves throwing a lob pass. Those are
yeah,
like two guys that are kind of in sync with each other. But I'm with you. Small ball is small in its name. Ruby and LeBron are not small players. These are still huge guys.
yeah,
DFS is also a guy with a lot of length and really dominates kind of his position in that way. A guy I interviewed the other day, Stanley Johnson, Vinay,
yeah.
is
Your guy, our
also
guy.
our
Yeah,
guy. Another guy that I feel like can play that small ball look and kind of fits that ethos of it. But no, I'm with you. Small is only small in kind of the quotation marks. But I think that's what we were so frustrated with is like our small ball before was like Cam Reddish at the four. And it's like,
yeah,
man, that just doesn't work. You can't switch in that manner. So yeah, we'll see. The small ball looks like it's working. I think that's what JJ wanted. Obviously, we were going to trade for a 7'2" bulky center that just did not. Mark Williams, I guess, is still in LA. I mean,
I don't know
take the
what's gonna.
vacation you want, brother. I mean, stay as long as you
It's
need to.
Yeah, it seems
Um,
like he's very bummed that the trade got rescinded, but
yeah,
yeah,
yes,
hopefully he figures the situation out because Charlotte's like, yeah, well, now we're gonna just give him the time he needs. I was like, damn, he must have thought he was going to Disneyland or
yeah.
some shit because he does not want to go back to
No,
Charlotte. Uh,
I mean,
uh,
can't blame him. Yeah,
Sidebar question, because you asked this in the chat, and I do think it's a valid question. Do
yeah.
the Lakers potentially revisit Mark Williams if in the offseason?
Yeah. I feel like so. Here's my thing, Vinny. I'm not trying to. Our front office they just hit a home. I'm not a baseball person. But they just
Yeah,
hit like a grand slam.
yeah, no, that's a good way of describing
Right,
it. Yeah,
right. So I'm not really gonna like kill them for losing out or however baseball references work. But I just can't imagine like they scouted this guy. They traded a first and a swap and their recent first round pick, Dalton Connect, who
yeah,
can't imagine Charlotte watching Dalton just play well in the Rising
yeah,
Stars game, going, that should be our prospect. And just not know anything about I mean, I understand the medicals can be hidden in some ways. I'm not a doctor. I don't know how these trades or these physicals work, but
yeah,
I would like unless they believe Mark Williams just won't have an NBA career, then maybe not. But sometimes these trades, a team has to throw in an extra asset to kind of get it done once these things happen. So we'll see. But I
yeah.
think they'll revisit some conversations. I think you made a good point as well that maybe they don't go for this exact move, but maybe there's another move that both teams kind of benefit from.
Yeah.
But we'll see. But yeah, shout out Dalton though. Like played well in the first Rising Stars game to get the win over to the G League guys, and then I think got another win to kind of advance to
Yeah.
Sunday, and then scored 8 points, in the game they played today. So shout out to him. He'll be returning. I'm excited to see what he looks like next to Luke. Any thoughts on just Dalton and the weekend? I guess that he had.
Yeah, I was gonna say this. I thought Laker fans were making a little too much about the whole like, oh, Dalton looks so sad. Like that thing was hitting the timeline. I'm not talking about the folks like the the player Avi accounts that do that because they're just gonna do the body language stuff all the time. But there's like real media folks who are like, oh yeah, Dalton looks like he's not really into it and stuff. It's just like, all right, dude, he's also a rookie, and if he wants to like make a career out of for himself in basketball, like you just have to understand that the game is a bunch of business. There's no hard feelings behind it. Like it's AD said it the best. Like AD got traded for Luka. He says, look, I understand it's a business. Like he knows who he got traded for. You know, when we had our young core guys and we traded them all for Anthony Davis, like the young core guys are like, yeah, you traded us for Anthony Davis. So like, it's not like you just
Right.
traded us for some random dude. And I understand if you don't like Mark Williams, yet you feel that some sort of way. But you know, I think like the AD trade did for I think the rest of the roster, which it feels like it's done for the rest of the roster. I think it was a wake up call to everybody that like this can all change very, very quickly if the right person is interested in coming to LA. And I think that's why that and then the trade deadline being over, so players are getting back to being comfortable again. Like I think that's just something that everybody is kind of woken up to. And I think Dalton will be fine. I think
Yeah.
he'll probably play with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, you know, knowing that he might not be a Laker for the rest of his career. And you know, it just is what it is. I wouldn't think anything more of it. If he has a good agent, his agent's telling him go play basketball. Like focus
Well,
on the basketball that you can play, not anything else.
he's in a position I think that other players would dream for. I
Yeah,
mean, you
yeah,
got the two of the best playmakers to ever walk this earth, like setting you up. Dalton's also 23, you know, so like I'm not saying he doesn't deserve time to kind of process things, but
yeah.
he looked fine, and I'm sure he'd rather be in LA than Charlotte. I would
Yeah,
assume.
I
I
would
just
imagine he's probably happy to be
yeah,
back.
yeah, he's kind of happy to be back, and again, he has an opportunity of a lifetime. I mean, he's gonna
Yeah,
get every open look, which I think he'll capitalize on. Yeah, just Luka experience has been amazing. I'm glad we got to delve into that, but
yeah,
we did, you know, make a move, and we got a 7-2
yeah,
big center that didn't look like he played basketball for a while.
yeah.
Like he was taken out of bed and told you have a game today. But I don't want to stay on that Utah game because I think
Sure.
that's tough to, you know what I mean? And
We could
again,
we could talk conceptually about how he helps the
yeah,
Lakers for sure.
yes,
Yeah,
right. Yeah, he started the second half, which is I'm sure not what he wanted to do. Um but Alex, like, does he help at all? Vinay, I think he's the third string center is how to kind
yeah,
of place it. He's a situational center. People are like, oh, well, he's gonna guard out. Can he guard Nikola Jokic? Like that, I think you're asking the wrong question.
yeah.
Like, you know, he's not guarding Nikola Jokic. No, neither is anybody. Neither is Anthony Davis. Like, there's just no one was guarding Jokic.
Nobody's guarding. Yeah,
But I do think he gives you, you know, the pitch to be able to go throw a big bruiser out there. He also, I think, fits your goon category. He gets in a lot of little scuffles
yeah.
around the league. Yeah, conceptually for you, Alex Len, where does he fit on this team?
Yeah, I'm with it. I like the idea of Alex Len. If I had to separate out what I think the Lakers are trying to do from his actual ability to do that successfully, I like the idea of what the Lakers are trying to do. They're trying to stay long. They're trying to stay big. They're trying to have a guy who can back up. Like we've been fortunate that Jackson Hayes hasn't really gotten in serious foul trouble to knock himself out of games early. But the Lakers would be in a lot of trouble if that was the case, or if Jackson Hayes got hurt or something like that for an extended period of time. And so I like the idea of what they're trying to do with Alex Len. You need a guy who knows how to move in space. Like when Luka decides to do what he's doing, or LeBron decides to do what he's doing, you just need a guy who has decent hands and who understands how to move in space. Like I don't think Len is like a lob threat the same way Jackson is. Like he's not like a high
No.
flyer, but he's a guy who moves to open areas. He can move from dunker spot to dunker spot. He can float out a little bit to the free throw line. I think he can shoot threes, if I'm not mistaken. Like I think he's.
Mm,
I'm not sure. I might be wrong. I might be wrong. I might be thinking of somebody else. But he like, can he finish plays? You know, can he do like a lot of people are like, oh, he's 7'2", but he's not. Is he a shot blocker? Like I don't expect him to be a shot blocker. I don't expect him to be some guy that the Lakers are funneling people into. I think he's a guy who's just meant to be the. Hey, do I have to tell you to screen? Are you going to not screen
sure.
well? Like those sort of things. So like if he screens well, he rolls well, he has good hands. And remember, like the luxury of this, Raj, is like, or I think the luxury of all of this is you have two all galaxy creators in LeBron and Luka. They're going
Yeah,
to do 99% of the offensive
right,
work for you on possessions. You just got to do that last 1%. And if Alex
right.
Len can do that, and play enough defense and rebound well enough to give the Lakers a good margin of error on the other end, I'm okay with that. I don't think you
Right.
need a ton of stuff. Mark Williams would have been a healthy Mark Williams would have been fantastic. But I understand that we couldn't get him, and Alex Len is probably not the answer, and neither Jackson
Sure.
Hayes the answer for the future. But if you need to do something now, who's available? Like, who are you going to really go grab right now that's really available? So I don't have any issue with it. I know he turned down, like, he was supposed to go to the Pacers, and then he changed his mind because the position, Anthony Davis trade, Mark Williams trade
Sure.
getting rescinded, changed his mind. So I'm okay with that. You need a veteran, and also you need a veteran guy. Like, you can't really take. I've said Trey Jameson is the type of goon that you want because you put both hands and he's such a pain. When you watch him play, bro,
So
it
insane.
feels no, but it feels painful. Like when I watch
Oh yeah.
guys like draw fouls from him, I was like, oh dude, that's gotta hurt, bro, because this guy is built like a freaking brick house. But
Yeah.
he's a young guy. He'll rack up 4 fouls in 2 seconds, and he's not a guy that you can rely on like that. There's a reason why he's a two-way player right now. And no, that's no offense to Trey. This is like I love Trey.
Sure.
But you need a vet guy, and Alex kind of fits that bill. So I like the idea. Now, can he do it successfully? We'll see. We'll see if that works out.
Right. It's funny because like Trey is the exact same player in the G League, just he's in scuffles and pushing guys, and it's just he's just more physical than you need to be, and it just rubs dudes the wrong way sometimes. And so I was just quick story. I was at the game whenever it was. I think it was on Friday. It was on Friday, and he like elbowed a guy, and like his eyes bleeding, and Trey's just does not even feel it, and the dude's like, are you serious right now? Like, it is like, it's just, and it was on like a dead ball play, and Trey's and Trey kind of got in his face and was like, hey, like, I'm not the one, or whatever it was. It's just awesome. He brings like great energy. And
the Indiana play, he elbowed Thomas Bryant on a rebound, runs out to TJ McConnell on a loose ball, grabs him, throws him into the sideline. And Benedict Mathurin comes over to defend his guy, and he puts his hands in Benedict Mathurin's face. I'm like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Right.
He's so out of control. I was like, bro, this dude is going to start a fight for sure. I mean, it's probably not a good thing, but dude, like that's like the kind of nasty edge that I'm talking about. Like guys who are just, obviously I don't want him hurting people. I don't want to have guys that hurt. But like when Vando's on the floor, there's a nastier edge to the team. Same thing with DFS. When Gabe's on the floor, there's a nastier edge to the team. Like they're talking shit to the other guys. They're like, yeah, we're not just gonna let you do whatever you want, like that sort of stuff. And the Lakers need those guys.
100%. I'm with you. But yeah, Trey's just amazing to kind of watch in that situation. But yeah, Vando brings that. Vando kind of increases the pace, and yeah, I remember like Draymond was doing some stuff, and Gabe and the Lakers got up 20, and Draymond does this when teams go up 20, he just starts pulling shit to kind of get his team going, and he started doing that. Yeah, and DFS and Gabe were kind of like, you're not gonna do this. You're not about to just injure our guys or be super physical, just because you're down 20, you want to get kicked out or whatever. Like we're not playing this game. But dude, like my point with Alex Len, Vinay, is he's been in the league like 13 years. It's a long time. Like it's a long time to kind of, stick around is kind of the word I would put it. Never really averaged over 15 minutes a game, ever was a fifth pick.
There was a point. George's coming. So George says, really thought Jameson would lose us that game because of free throws and technicals and flagrant fouls. Bro, there was a point where I was just like, he's gonna do some shit that's gonna get like the Pacers riled up, and they're gonna have like some sort of furious comeback. I was like, you got to get him off the floor. But that sequence, bro, I was crying laughing because I was like, how did you put your hands on 3 different players?
Yeah,
on a single possession? That's crazy. Go ahead. I don't want to.
No, you're good. He had another one. I forgot what player it was, but someone got in his face and he just started laughing uncontrollably. I forgot which player that was. But someone like went up.
Draymond was talking to the Lakers bench that game, the game that you're talking about, and Trey's sitting there, and you could see the camera. It's behind Draymond, and it's aimed at the Lakers thing. You can see Trey mouth the words "shut the f up" to Draymond, and I was just like, "Oh my god, dude!" Like, I don't mind it because sometimes you need guys who are like, "Yo, we're not like this is not you're not doing that stuff here like with the rest of this team."
Yeah, and Trey also like to be real, like that's how he stays in the league. Like that's the role like that, like
Yeah.
he should at least, I think, push for. He also, like, again, he's one of those guys that's just gonna, like, someone said Dwight in the
Yeah.
chat. Obviously, I'm not comparing him to Dwight Howard,
Yeah.
but kind of that, like, I'm a dunk and then I'm gonna shove you for no reason, like, just
Yeah.
you're not really in my way, but I'm gonna make sure you're in my way, kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Just a little extra bump here, a little extra bump there. Nothing dirty, nothing trying to
Yeah.
harm you. Just kind of, you're gonna feel me, like you're gonna
Yeah.
feel
100%.
you're gonna feel who I am, and that's the type of stuff I thought the Lakers were missing. Awkward transition. I don't know if Alex Len is that anymore. Like, he's like 30, he's only
Yeah.
what, 32, I think. So he's not like, he's not past like the threshold of age, but yeah, he looks slow obviously in his first game. I have
Yeah.
some grace for that. Hasn't played in a while. Again, like, if your question is and your answer is Alex Len, I think you're asking the wrong question. I
Yeah.
do think there's a situational place for him, and we'll see kind of where he fits. But it looks like this is the roster. Vinay, we'll see if they add another guy. We didn't get to talk about him, but Jordan Goodwin just looked
Oh, yes.
incredible
Yes.
this weekend. He's been awesome for South Bay, and it's cool to watch a guy like I guess push up to that level. I talked to him a few weeks ago and I asked him, like, what are you trying to prove on? He said, just shooting. I have everything else. And he kind of showed that. His ball handling.
Yeah.
He's a tenacious defender. He looked great.
I would say that if the Lakers make another small move next, it's going to be, they're going to waive Cam Reddish and they're going to sign Jordan Goodwin to the parent roster. And a lot of people have been like, oh, the Lakers, some people were upset that like we waived Christian Wood and we didn't get like a disabled player exception. It's just like, no, like it's just such a minor thing to complain about that it was nominally wouldn't have made any difference for the Lakers. So like waiving Wood was going to be something that happened. A very hilarious newsbreaker or person who attempts to be a newsbreaker had a very quickly deleted tweet because he thought Cam was the one that was going to get waived.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
you
yeah.
and I, like, we had been talking in the chat. I was like, oh no, Wood's probably going to be the one that gets waived. I think
Right.
Cam is going to be the next guy that gets waived. I think Jordan might take his spot. But there's no rush for them to do it just yet because there's just still time. You never know. Somebody else who's better might magically become available. Sure. But I think Jordan's probably going to force the Lakers to add him to the parent roster because they've been using him like in that Gabe role. Like when Gabe was out, they kind of use him in the Gabe role. Like, hey, backup point guard, play some defense, grab some rebounds. He's been really good in those minutes.
That's the interesting part. Again, when you add Luka Doncic to your team, your needs change, right? Yeah. I remember when we were talking at the trade deadline, and we both, I think, were advocates. You were advocating to get your son back. I was advocating to get Brandon Ingram back. It's the same goal, just said in different ways. But we were like, let's go get another ball handler to kind of offset some of the scoring. Well, Vinay, you don't need another ball handler anymore. That is solved. Yeah, and that should be solved for the next decade. It's kind of crazy, but your needs kind of shift to defense and rebounding and tenacious guards, right? And I think Jordan Goodwin does fit that. He just got his 2-way, which means the Lakers have a pretty long rope to kind of use him in that role before having to make a decision on converting him. We'll see if they do that with Koloko, who doesn't have that many games left. Another guy that I've advocated for, if you want a center, just play him. I think he's better than Alex Len, but I mean, he's not bigger, so doesn't play the same role, right? Doesn't have the body, but I just mean in terms of just pure talent level, I think he's just more of an NBA player than Len is. But
I am sort of curious to see what they end up doing with those two-way positions, because I could certainly see a situation where if Len and Jackson are the guys they carry into the playoffs, which it looks like what it's going to be the case.
Oh yeah.
And then let's say they promote Goodwin, then they might have to decide, do we want to keep Koloko? Do we want to keep Jameson? Maybe they waive one, then they give those two other two-way spots to like Stanley. Or was Stanley a two-way, or did he just sign with the South Bay?
He can't be a two-way. Two-way has like a 3-4 year experience.
Got it.
Yeah, Stanley's been in the league for like 8 years now.
So I'll be very interested to see like what they do with Koloko and Jameson from the two-way spot. But I think probably a good chance that it's going to be Len and Jackson moving forward into the playoffs. I don't know if that's the answer, but you never know. The matchups really dictate a lot of what it is for this team.
Right. Yeah. Vinay, did you have anything else before we get into I guess the star comments from this?
Do I have anything else? The only thing I have to say is I think a lot of people are making a lot of unnecessary complaint about Braun not playing in the All-Star game today. And I don't think it was that big of a deal that he wasn't playing. Like, I understand that it's a little annoying that he said he wasn't playing like right beforehand, but he wasn't going to give up his all-star spot. Obviously he wants to be there, I would imagine, too, as well. But I do like the fact that he did come out and say, hey, I need to get ready for the playoffs. Like, I need to get ready for this stretch run of basketball. So I think when Bron does stuff like that, he doesn't do that. It's not something he's saying lightly. I think he really means that. I don't think he's like, oh, I'm just too good to play. If there's one thing I think Bron has always done or been actively truthful about, is he does love the fans. Like, he wouldn't cheat the game by saying like, yo, I'm just not playing in the All-Star game because I just don't feel like it. I think his ankle might actually be bothering him, and so he just needs the extra day's rest. And I don't think you cheat. He's a big advocate, Raj, of what you and I like to always term as basketball gods are always watching. And I don't think I think he's openly said before that you can't cheat the basketball gods, and I don't think that's what he was trying to do today. So if the reason why he took the day off was because he's getting ready mentally, physically for that stretch run, which is going to be a tough schedule for the Lakers. A lot of divisional games, a lot of seeding games. I'm all for it, dude. I hope he's ready to go.
Yeah, I think LeBron wanted to play. Like, there's been a lot of he didn't want Norm Powell in the All-Star game, or some crazy, or didn't want Sabonis in the All-Star game. I think LeBron legitimately wanted to play. Yeah. And I honestly think, I tweeted this out, I think this format changed his thinking on it, right? If it was just a straight game, which it should have been, honestly, I just watching this, I would have rather had a regular game. But if it was, he could have, done the starting lineups, played for 2 minutes, and then get subbed out.
And then
a lot of players do that when they're nursing an injury. But in this format, you can't do that because you're eliminated, right? And so I don't think LeBron wanted to go through that. So he said, I'm just not going to play. So I don't know how many more LeBron has left of these. I'm sure he wanted to play. And we'll see kind of where it goes from next year, which is in LA. So it'd be interesting.
Yeah, I was expecting to be there for that. Yeah.
So let's get into these.
Let's get these questions, dude.
Well, first one from Brandon Omi. Shout out for the super chat, but shout out everyone kind of in the YouTube chat. Like, this has been really cool. A lot of people in the YouTube, which it's been exciting to kind of see. But Brandon Omi, thank you. We appreciate you. Does Max have? This has been really cool to watch, Vinay. Max Christie's ascension.
This is a great question from Brandon too. I love this question.
This is so great. Does Max have all-star potential? Can he be a 20-point a game guy? And for context, before I continue, Max is averaging around 17 a game with Dallas Mavericks. Carried them over a win without Luka Doncic, without Derek Lively, without Kyrie Irving. I said Luka Doncic. Without Anthony Davis, excuse me. And got a win over I forgot the team they beat. Still hurts losing him more than AD because of the age, and he's an LAL prospect. That's a crazy sentence, also an upset, which I don't think Brandon's wrong either from the reception that I've seen. Will be an elite two-way player. Vinay, just Max's play in Dallas. Does he have all-star potential? Can he be a 20-point a game guy to you?
Yeah, so 20 points a game is a little hard to come by because you have to shoot with volume. So either if he's a 20-point guy, that means that he's hitting them at like super high efficiency, which could happen if it's just wide open threes, and whatnot. So I think he's probably going to be his highest potential is probably to be somewhere between like a 15 and 20-point guy, like highest potential. Does he have all-star potential? The West is really hard. Like if it's just really, really hard to be an all-star. But I think he can be like a high level role player, like to like like an all defensive team caliber player. I think that's the sort of honor that he could be with. Will he be an elite two-way player? I think Raj and I have said this before, and I think we've said it on the pod before. Like, Max, before he got traded, was doing some stuff that KCP wasn't even doing for the Lakers during his tenure in the championship run. And that was on the offensive end. Some of the stuff he was doing on the defensive end was stuff that KCP was doing. And we all know how much we loved KCP during the championship run when he was good. And so that should give you an idea of just kind of how good he can be. Elite is probably a little hard to put him in. But like, again, if you put him in that above average tier, whatever that second or third tier is right below that, I think Max Christie can certainly be that. You will not find two bigger fans of Max Christie than me and Raj, because I distinctly remember Raj and I at Las Vegas Summer League 2 years ago at like 7 o'clock at night when everybody else had left because they were done watching all the games. and you would think that the stadium would be packed, the arena in T-Mobile, not T-Mobile Arena. What's the name of the
Thomas and
arena?
Mack. Uh-huh.
Thomas and Mack. You would think Thomas and Mack would have been packed for a Laker game, but it wasn't. So
Nope.
Raj and I were able to get all the way down to the bottom bowl to be
Right.
able to watch Max Christie's second year. And I remember very distinctly me and Raj sitting there and saying, "Oh, he's figuring something out. Like he's
Yeah.
figured out that he can do this and he can do that. He can do this." So we're very happy that even though he's not in the Lakers jersey, that he is succeeding. And it is Raj, the Lakers phenomenon, the Laker to non-Laker phenomenon of
Right.
people telling us that Laker players suck, players in Lakers jerseys suck, only for them to switch jerseys, play exactly the same way, and people to be like, "Wait, hold on, this guy's pretty good." We didn't realize he was this good.
Yeah,
It's
man.
like, maybe you're just not listening to the right Laker people.
Yeah, Max has been awesome to watch, and I'm glad he's been the shining ray of hope, in Dallas, because it's been dark, but he's been leading.
Rough. Yeah,
It's been
I don't
rough,
know.
but he's led them to, not led them, excuse me, because obviously Kyrie Irving is next to him.
Yeah.
But 4-1 record. Max, like Vinay, I don't think this is hyperbole. He changed the Lakers season. I mean,
He was a huge part of it. Yeah.
Max Christie being able to be a starting 2 guard just opened everything up. It allowed D'Lo to be tradable and traded. It allowed you to kind of open other avenues because he solved a lot of the issues the team had as a rebounder, as a finisher, as a cutter. All-star potential. I'll say this: if Max can make the next 5 all-star teams, this trade is still 100%. You throw that in every single time,
Yeah.
but all-star, I'm not sure. I mean, like you said, the West is tough, and I think Austin Reaves is an all-star potential. I don't know when he'll make it because of what the West is. But can he be a 15-point a game guy? I think so. If the 3-pointer's going, I think every rep matters. And me and you were kind of telling people at Summer League, hey, look, this guy, there's some ball handling there. There's some off the bounce shooting there. And obviously it got thrown away because it's Summer League, and then Darvin Ham just refused to play Max Christie. And so we got kind of a year gap in it. But excited for him, happy for Max. Seems Dallas people have quickly found out what we did, Vinay, is that dude's super mature.
Yeah, and I would say the same way that we like to say that Austin Reaves has thoroughly outplayed the $12 million contract value that he signed.
Yes.
I'm 100% confident, assuming he stays healthy, that Max is going to be Dallas fans are going to start talking about Max like he's one of the best bargain deals for an NBA player in the NBA by the time this season is over. Which I think he is too. They have him at $8 million, which is
insane.
Absurd value. You could argue that if he keeps this, even if he stays at what he's at right now, these 5 games that he's played with Dallas, he averages that. You could argue that he should be a $20 million player, for some team. So I think he's going to be great for them. I hope Dallas fans appreciate him the same way that we have.
Starting 2-guard for $8 million a year, locked up for the next 3 seasons.
Yeah.
With the cap exploding as it is, that's a bargain and a steal of a deal.
Yeah. Thank you again, Brandon. That very gracious with the $5 super chat. Raj, I'd actually, before we go to the next question, because I wanted to wait for you to come on. We wanted to thank the Lakers Detail Pod. It hit or the YouTube channel went over 1,000 subscribers. So I just want to make sure that we acknowledge all the folks. There have been some folks, Shell and Jordan and different guys and different folks that have been doing the super chats and the super thanks. Chet, I think was another guy, was the guy who first did it, was the first one to do it for us. We appreciate all the folks that do it. You guys can spend your money elsewhere and you decide to spend it with us and contribute to the channel. So I just want to always be very humble and thank all the folks that do that on behalf of both of us.
Yes. Thank you guys. It's been fun. We're going to continue to grow. And just super thankful and blessed to have the kind of to have people watch. I mean, it's just, me and Vinay are just people who talk about basketball.
Yeah.
And we just happen to do it in front of a camera. So, thank you guys again. And let's continue on these comments, Vinay. Lawrence Baker, hey Vinay and Raj, what do you guys think about making Austin a 6th man? I think we kind of went through this, but starting Reddish or Goodwin, keeping Rui as the other starter because his career 3-point percentage and ability to guard 5s. I'll quickly just say I don't think Austin's going to the bench anytime soon, unless the Lakers really torpedo, which I would, I just don't see happening. But I think Vinay, you're on kind of the same wavelength that I'm on.
I think Austin is just too good to bench now at this point, and I think Austin. I would argue if I was Austin's agent, Austin's done more than enough to prove that he doesn't deserve to be benched like ever, unless like there's an injury or an equally better player is better suited. I think a lot of the expectation that we had was that Rui would get moved to the bench, and that maybe DFS would be started. JJ sort of indicated that he might revisit that starting lineup if there was
Yeah.
any poor defensive performances. But right now, even Rui's playing well. I'm not saying he's playing great defensively, but he's playing good. He's grabbing rebounds, knocking down threes, doing his job. So I know a lot of Laker fans are hoping that Rui is like the guy who gets put to the bench, but JJ's got to have a reason, man. Like he doesn't have a reason to do it yet. And I think he's openly come out and said like, hey, I like what DFS gives us off the bench right now. Like I like the energy he gives us off the bench. So I don't think that's going to be happening. And Austin as a sixth man, it's not happening, dude. Like
No,
I'm sorry, he's just too good. Like I
right.
don't think he can do it.
Right. And I feel like, so obviously Rui's been kind of the guy next, right? The next player that everyone's kind of looked at and go, hey, are you doing your job nightly, on a night to night basis? I think this team is just, again, when you add Luka Doncic, Vinay, I think it just shifts and you trade AD, right? Like your whole paradigm shifted where I think Rui's, to me, should be looked at now. He's a power forward.
Yeah.
And he's a small ball five, and so that's kind of the role he's in. He's no longer playing the three very much. And I don't really understand the incessant nature of like throw him out for DFS. Like they both can play. DFS subbed in 3 minutes into the game during Luka's debut. I think they can kind of coalesce together. But we'll see. Rui's playing the best basketball of his career, in my opinion, and we'll see how much that continues. This isn't a question. These are comments that I've gotten DMs, Vinay, and just everyone.
Oh yeah, I've got these too.
Because I didn't realize. So I guess it happened so late, and most people were offline by then. I guess because the Knicks game happened, and then I think an hour. So we were really like not many people were live during it, and so a lot of people have kind of messaged me this. I found out about the Luka trade from y'all.
Yeah,
favorite graphs that can only mean one thing, and I immediately went to Chef's account. I couldn't believe it. The reactions have been gold.
I've had a lot of people send me that gasp video in my DMs.
Yes.
And they'll be like, dude, this moment right here was so good because we had no clue what you were gasping at until you were like, oh my God, it's real. So it's funny. That was a funny night because we were getting to the last part of the pod, which is hey, we're gonna take the questions, questions, that's super chats, that sort of thing. And then that everything just got derailed at that point. And I was just like, all right, we got to figure out, like, you're like trying to give, it was funny because people were messaging me like, it's so funny that Raj is trying to continue on the topics.
Right. I didn't buy that at all.
Like, you're just like completely distracted trying to figure out if this shit is real or not. So funny. But I a lot of the messages were like, hey, I was going through exactly the same emotions as you two guys were. And I think that's very cool to hear that from other folks too, for sure.
Right. They said it was a very natural reaction because it's not like we found out about it then went live. It was kind of like we were already completely going and just into the basketball and talking about a really great win against the Knicks. And I really didn't buy it until I think you said that ESPN reported, and that's where
that's when I was just like, I actually tried to explain it away. I was like, no, maybe he has access to the ESPN and that's hacked.
Right. That made more sense during the time. So that shout out Harrison said he tweeted like happy like 2-week anniversary for those who celebrate, which is just so great. I've gone back and listened to it a few times, just absolutely hilarious.
It's funny.
Tam the pessimist, what are your expectations for the rest of the season and postseason? That can be another pod, I guess. Just really quickly, I'm still in kind of the Luka honeymoon phase. I'm not really on. I haven't really analyzed Vinay on title contender or not list. I don't know about you, but I think this is just a really damn good team that can, that can push for a 2 seed, and we'll see what they do with that.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way of doing it. I think they have enough pieces to make a run at the Western Conference Finals if they get the right matchups. I think that's the fairest way to describe what they are. Can they go to the finals? Yeah, if they draw the right matchups. Like Luka made it to the finals with Kyrie, and Kyrie was sort of up and down in that OKC series, and it required PJ Washington to be like otherworldly for them to put him, to have a chance. Because now Luka's going to play next to LeBron James. Like I would say that's an upgrade in terms of just ability and just what can
Yeah.
happen. So obviously it's not apples to apples. Those rosters are not apples to apples because Dallas had Lively and Gafford and I think Derek Jones Jr. was on that team too at the time. So we might necessarily have the same roster, but if the Lakers draw the right matchups, you never know. Like you never know what these guys can do in a playoff setting. And I think JJ's coaching gets better in a playoff setting
Mm,
when he can actually prepare against other guys. So but we'll find out. We're
yeah.
about to play a slew of tough teams, and some of these teams that we'll see in the playoffs, the Houstons, the OKCs, the Denvers. That's when we'll really learn if they've learned anything or if they can do anything different.
Yeah, I was really quickly. That was kind of in Ramel's question as
Yep.
well. Do you think the
Ramel's
Lakers are,
question too. Yep.
considered as contenders? Kind of went through that. I think we both believe they are. They can kind of surprise the team. They're not favorites within that. I guess just with this last one, Vinay, because we kind of think we've gone through the other ones. But
Yeah.
George, how sustainable defensively is this new starting lineup? What would need for them to happen to consider putting Rui or AR off the bench? We'll start with the how sustainable defense. I think we kind of went through that in terms of their shift in terms of what kind of defense they're running. But I'm interested, Vinay, what would happen for them to consider putting? I don't think AR is going to the bench, but I guess Rui going to the bench. Is it just him having a terrible shooting week
Yeah.
combined with our inability to defend at a
Yeah.
high enough level, I guess? And I don't know how many losses that would take. That's tough to kind of quantify, but we're 32-20 now. I would assume like a 3-game losing streak would kind of push
Yeah.
towards a.
I think Rui would have to be like a really serious brick. Like he'd have to have like a 3 or 4 game stretch where he's like he can't hit anything. Like, and when I say anything, I mean like anything. Like he can't be like if he goes through a couple games, if he goes through like 2 games where he goes like 1 for 5 both games, and then the third game he goes like I don't know 4 for 10. I don't think JJ is going to bench him. But he's got to have some like really, really bad shooting games for him
Right.
to get benched. I think JJ has to see something. But again, that also has to involve not only is he not making shots, but he's also not doing well on defense or not rebounding. I feel like JJ is looking at the players at a very specific microscope now, and so that's the only thing that really gets him moved out. But in the playoffs, who knows? Like
Right.
they could be much more situational with how
Oh.
they approach it. Again, I think like I've seen the tweets from folks about benching Austin. It's not happening. Like unless he
Mm-mm.
gets injured, it's just not happening. They're not moving Austin to the bench. This is not a sourced intel insider thing. I'm just letting you know it's not happening. Like
No.
they believe Austin is. They have a lot of belief in Austin Reaves. The Lakers as an organization believe that Austin Reaves is a really, really great player. And I think I understand why Laker fans do it because they want to balance what's on the floor, the offense and defense on the floor. But the Lakers are fully okay with saying, Austin, if you got to go defend this guy in order to stay on the floor, that's what you got to do. And if you get scored on a couple times, oh, well, go get those points back the other way if that's what you're going to do. And that's what they're going to roll with.
Right. I think they believe in I'll take a step further. I believe they think they have a big 3. I honestly think that's how they.
I wouldn't argue against that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's now. There's obviously a huge 2, but I think they have a big 3. They believe they have a big 3.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. Austin's not going out. Rui, again, playoffs are matchup dependent. I'm sure the decisions will come a little bit quicker. Just a bonus one. I think this was interesting. Is DFS's extension already this summer? I wasn't aware of that. You're more in that kind of cap
So
world.
he has a player. I believe he has a player option for 15 million. Just to go over it really quickly, I think the non-taxpayer MLE is about to be like 12 to 13 million dollars. That's the one that if you're not a luxury tax team, that's the bigger one that you can get, but it hard caps you at the first apron. So I think the extension that DFS is hoping to get is something in that area. So like at 13 to 15 million dollars. So I think if he asks for an extension and the Lakers want to give him one, first and foremost, the Lakers are trying to keep their 2026 cap space wide open. Again, this is not something that I'm going to act like I'm an insider. I'm just telling you that's what they're trying to do. Like you can take it with a grain of salt. You can believe me if you don't want to or whatever. The Lakers are still going big fishing. They're going big game hunting, and 2026 offseason is a really important thing. So if DFS says, "Hey, I want something around 15 million a year," the Lakers might tell them, "You can opt into your player option, and we'll give you an extra year."
Right.
But that's
Balloon
the
it
most
up.
we'll give you, and so you get basically an extra $15 million. I think that's the kind of extension that he's probably going to get. I don't know. Now, Luka being here maybe changes the math of that a little bit because Luka likes him. So maybe they give him an extra year, maybe they don't. But I do know that the Lakers are trying to prioritize the 2026 offseason to have as much room as they possibly can. Like they want to keep like just Luka, Austin's cap hold, and maybe one other, like very minimal salaries available because they have in mind somebody that they want to get. Well, two guys that they want to get, but well, that's neither here nor there to discuss. So that's the extension I think he's going to get, somewhere around 15 million. Exactly what number he has right now, but only an extra year. I think that's what they're going to try to get him.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I would love to lock up DFS. I think he's an important part of this team. I don't know if it was 40 chess from Rob Pelinka trading for Dorian Finney-Smith. Luka's, one of Luka's best friends in the league that has been publicly reported. But if it was, kudos, we'll never know. Yeah. DFS was traded for, I think, on December 15th or whenever. I forgot the exact date, but
the DFS trade happened when I was in Paris, right?
Oh yes, yeah, I
was
believe
that in
so.
Paris? Yeah, when that happened, you told me that Rob did a trade when I was out of the country.
Oh yes, when you left, right.
It was like right after Christmas, right before New Year's.
Yes, okay, and but yeah, so I don't know if that was during the coffee shop meetup, which somehow is photographed.
That's so crazy, dude. Rob's is like this gigantic Mamba jersey.
Right. Just
I'm like, bro, you're not even discreet, bro. It's like, first of all, Rob's a tall guy. He's like 6'5", 6'6".
Right. No, he does
so
not.
You already see him. Yeah.
Right.
And it's just like, what the. How do we do our business, bro? Lakers, what are we doing? How do we do our business?
I don't know, but it's working. And it's working. So we'll see. But that's the last question. Shout out, Tam, the pessimist, first time viewer. You guys appreciate that. Appreciate everyone who's kind of listened and can subscribe. We do appreciate it. But that's all the questions I had, Vinay. Excited as hell to be back, and we have about 30 games. Hope everyone enjoyed their All-Star break.
Yeah.
Next game is Wednesday when this all kicks off again.
Yeah. So for all the folks like Raj mentioned, we appreciate all the folks that joined the live stream. And like he said, the break is over. The All-Star break is over, and the stretch run into the playoffs is starting to come up. Lakers have about 30 games left. And we're going to get a good look at what this Luka, LeBron, Austin Reaves trio can do for the Lakers and how they can get geared up to get to where they have to get to. And look, whatever the end result ends up being, we'll be there with you guys all the way through, and we'll share our learnings. But as always, we appreciate everybody, and we hope you guys have a wonderful day. And if nothing else, we'll catch you in the next one. Take it easy.
Peace.